Okay, welcome to Readings and Commentary with Insane Sam, 2026 edition. This is the first reading of 2026. These are readings from history, philosophy, poetry, literature, just anything in the written word that I like that I think you might like. And I've got a fun one for you today. You know, this is January 19th, 2026. It's Dolly Parton's 80th birthday. Would have been Robert E. Lee's 122nd birthday, I believe, and it would have been my dear old dad's 98th birthday. But today is also the day of the 2026 college football finals, Indiana versus Miami. That's going to be on in just a few hours. So I'm going to give you a football reading today, and it's the reading from the speech that Knute Rockne gave his players at the halftime of the Army-Navy game in 1928, in which Army was getting beaten at halftime. And what he did is he gave an excerpt from what George Gipper had told him on his dying bed. Now, George Gipper had played for Army between 1917 and 1920, and in 1919 and 1920 led Army to 2 undefeated seasons. He was Notre Dame's first All-American football player ever, too. But George Gibb, he led a pretty wild life. He's a big drinker, big smoker, and in 1920, when he was only 25 years old, he got sick and died. And Knute Rockne was in his room listening to George Gibb on his deathbed. And he used some of what George Gibb had told him in his halftime pep talk in the 1928 Army-Navy game. Army had been having a crummy year, and they were getting beat by Army at Navy, at halftime. And here's what he said. "Well, boys, I haven't got a thing to say. Played a great game, all of you, great game. I guess we just can't expect to win them all. I'm going to tell you something I've kept to myself for years. None of you ever knew George Gibb. It was long before your time, but you know what a tradition he is at Notre Dame. And the last thing he said to me, Rock, he said, sometime when the team is up against it and the breaks are beating the boys, tell them to go out there with all they got and win just one for the Gipper. I don't know where I'll be then, Rock, he said, but I'll know about it and I'll be happy." Well, must have worked because Army went on to beat Navy 12-6 that day. Now, George Gibb was, quite a player, as I mentioned, and he still holds, over 100 years later, several all-time Notre Dame records. He holds the average yards per rush for a season, 8 yards per carry, career average yards per play of total offense, 9.37 yards, and career average yards per game of 128.4. Pretty impressive for a team like Notre Dame to hold those records after all those years. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this fun one. Hope you guys all tune into the game tonight. It's going to be a fun one. Indiana, my friend Ron Tranberg from Indiana will be rooting hard for them. We got Miami playing. It's a home game for Miami tonight, so it's going to be an interesting one. And with that, Insane Sam out.